Hi there, I'm Congressman Jim Bridenstine. I wanted to give my constituents an update on what's happening here in Washington, D.C. There's a lot of information out there and a lot of misinformation, and I wanted to set the record straight. We have been working very hard to keep the government open. Going back to about a week ago, we passed a bill that would fund the entire government, keep the government open, and defund Obamacare. We sent it to the Senate. Immediately, the Senate started working to strip out the defund mechanism of Obamacare, and they sent back a clean continuing resolution to fund the government. At that point, we made a decision. The President had already delayed major provisions of Obamacare, including the employer mandate, giving multi-billion-dollar corporations a break. And in fact, the President unilaterally gave exemptions to members of Congress, if you can believe that. It wasn't passed into law. It wasn't something we voted on. In fact, it's illegal per Obamacare to do that. But he went ahead and did it anyway. Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid asked for it, and the President gave it to them. So there's exemptions for multi-billion-dollar corporations right now. There's exemptions for members of Congress. And so we said, look, if the President is going to delay major provisions of Obamacare for 1 year, let's pass a bill that funds the entire government, keeps the government open, and delays Obamacare for 1 year. And so that's what we did. We sent it to the Senate. By that time, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. And the next day, the Senate Democrats took the day off. And in fact, they didn't come to work until the day after that at about 2 in the afternoon. And at that time, Harry Reid tabled the bill. So then we said, okay, what can we do that they might be interested in working with us on? So we said, let's pass a bill that funds the government, keeps the government open, and delays for 1 year the individual mandate. Again, the President has already given multi-billion-dollar corporations a break for 1 year. He's given members of Congress an exemption. Let's give the American people the same exemption that they get. And so we passed a bill that funded the government, and yet it did one thing, which was delay the individual mandate for 1 year. We sent it to the Senate. Harry Reid tabled it. So finally, we passed a bill that just said, look, we just want a conference. We want to have a meeting between House Republicans and Senate Democrats to come to some kind of agreement, some kind of resolution. And so we sent a bill to the Senate to do that. And Harry Reid tabled it. He doesn't even want to talk to us. John Boehner recently made a trip to the White House. The President told him, I will not negotiate, not on the continuing resolution to fund the government and not on the debt ceiling increase. So Speaker Boehner, his hands are tied. But here's where we are, and this has been great. The Speaker has been putting bills on the floor of the House. The first one was to fund the troops. We passed it unanimously in the House of Representatives. We passed it unanimously in the Senate, and the President signed it. So the troops have been funded. Then we said, let's fund the Veterans Affairs, the Veterans Administration. So we put a bill on the floor of the House. We passed it in the House, or actually we didn't pass it. We had a majority in the House, a bipartisan majority, but because we brought it up on suspension, we had to have a 2/3 vote, and enough Democrats voted against it to kill funding of the Veterans Administration. So then we brought it up under a rule, and we passed it with bipartisan support to fund the Veterans Administration. We sent it to the Senate, and Harry Reid wouldn't take it up. Then we said, let's fund the National Guard and the Reserve. They work every bit as hard at protecting this country as the active duty. We passed it in the House of Representatives with a bipartisan majority. We sent it to the Senate, and Harry Reid will not take it up. I want to be very clear about what's happening here. We are in a government shutdown because Harry Reid and President Barack Obama want it. They won't even meet with us. This is inexcusable. And even more inexcusable, that they would fund the troops and not fund the veterans or the National Guard or the reserves. Not funding the National Guard and the Reserve and not funding the veterans is every bit as indefensible as not funding the troops. And yet that's where they are. This is a shutdown that they asked for. This is a shutdown that they wanted. It's not because it's good for you. It's not because it's good for our country. It's because it's good for what they believe are their political prospects. It's inappropriate. And as this continues, I'm going to keep updating you. But the reality is this is Harry Reid's shutdown. He won't even meet with us. He will not negotiate. He will not talk. This is his shutdown, not ours. The media is doing his bidding, but I want to be absolutely clear. I've been here for 9 months. I've seen some crazy things, but I've never seen anything as crazy as not even being willing to meet with the opposite party in a split government situation because he will not negotiate. They're not doing this because it's good. They're doing it for political expediency. And I'll be communicating with my constituents back at home as this develops. Thank you for listening, and God bless you.